Kinematics. Kinematics. The branch of physics which deals with purely the motion of the body, but not the cause of motion. That is called the kinematics. What is the cause of motion actually? Whenever you apply some force on your body, then only the body can change its motion. Otherwise, the body cannot change itself its motion. Okay, that's why, excuse me. That's why cause of motion means force. Here in this chapter, we will not discuss the cause of motion like forces acts on your body. What are the forces acts on your body? We will not discuss those points in this chapter. We will discuss purely the motion. Motion means what is the velocity of a body, what is the acceleration, what is the relation between them, what is the displacement of a body. These points only we will discuss in this chapter. That's why it is called the kinematics. Okay, so the branch of physics which deals with purely the motion of a body, motion of the bodies, but not the cause of motion. That is called the kinematics. Okay, here suppose in a room, one body is here. In a room, one body is kept at certain position. Here, when we can say the body is at rest, when we can say the body is at rest, already you are sitting on the chair in your room. Okay, no doubt you are said to be at rest in the room. How we could say force is acting on your body now because the weight acts on a body. Weight of you acts on your body in downward direction. How we could say u is equal to 0? How you could say there is no momentum in your body, no motion in our body? You see, let me explain. Okay, how you say there is no displacement or there is no motion? That's why I am at rest. How you could say there is no displacement? Suppose when you sit on the sun, when the person or observer sit on the sun and when he sees you, definitely you are rotating around the sun along with the earth, isn't it? That's why here, whenever the body is at rest or body is in motion, that can be said only by comparing the position with respect to another body. That means you are at rest means you are at rest because the distance of your body from the walls of the room, in your room, from the walls of your room, does not change with the time. That's why you are said to be at rest with respect to your room, or with respect to your building, or with respect to earth. You are said to be at rest. Okay, suppose from the sun, if I see, or from the other planet, if I see your position, then obviously you are in motion now. That's why to to say the state of the body means is it at rest or in motion? In order to say the state of your body, we must compare the position of your body with respect to other. Then only we can say whether the given body is at rest or not. Otherwise, we cannot say. Okay, the body relative to which the motion of the other body can be described is called the reference body. So you are at rest with respect to walls of your room or walls building with respect to building. That's why that building is the reference body or earth is the reference body to you. Okay, that's why. So first we have to discuss the reference body. So reference body first. So reference body means the body with respect to which or relative to which the motion of the other body can be compared. The body with respect to which or relative to which the motion of the other body can be described. That body is called the reference body. Okay, here earth is the reference body, building is the reference body. Okay, other planet may be taken as the reference body. In this way, different objects can be taken as the reference body. Mainly, earth is the reference body, building is the reference body. Okay, here based on the nature of the, here there are in reference bodies there are two types. In reference bodies there are two types. Here whatever the reference body means, example, earth, building. Of course, as building is at rest on the surface of the earth, building can be treated as the earth only because earth building cannot be separated. because building is fixed to the earth. That's why building, earth both are same. Earth, building, trees, all are reference bodies. Okay. Now, here there are two types of reference bodies. There are two types of reference bodies. Okay. First one, before this, we have to discuss what is the frame of reference or reference frame. Frame of reference. Frame of reference, FOR, frame of reference. Here, the coordinate system attached to the reference body is called the frame of reference. Here, somebody asked again how to say the definition of the reference body. Here, the body with respect to which the motion of the other body can be described is called the reference body. Motion of the other body can be described means from this body, what is the distance of the person? With what velocity the person travel with respect to this wall or with respect to the room or with respect to the earth, then such body is called the reference body. Okay, so the body with respect to which the motion of the other body can be described is called the reference body. Now, what is the frame of reference? Because if you already know there is a reference body, say building or walls of the building. From the wall of the building, at what distance you are there? Are you there at 10 feet distance from the wall, or 15 feet or 12 feet, like that? Okay, to measure them, a scale is required, no? Or coordinate axes are required, no? So that's why if you attach a coordinate system to the reference body, if you attach a coordinate system to the reference body, then such reference body attached with the coordinate system is called the frame of reference. So reference body attached with coordinate system, attached with coordinate system is called, okay, frame of reference. Is called frame of reference. There are two types of frames of reference. There are two types of frames of reference. One, inertial frame of reference. Inertial frame of reference. IFOR, inertial frame of reference, or it is also called as the unaccelerated frame of reference. Unaccelerated frame of reference. So what is the initial frame of reference? Every frame of reference or every frame of reference which can move with constant velocity with respect to earth, that can be treated as the inertial frame of reference. Every frame of reference which can move with constant velocity with respect to earth, that can be called as the inertial frame of reference. Earth is also a big inertial frame of reference. Earth is also a big inertial frame of reference. That's why inertial frame of reference example means we can say earth, mainly earth, railway platform, all these are railway platform, etc. All these are inertial frames of reference. Okay, in inertial frames of reference, Newton's laws are applicable. In inertial frame of reference, Newton's laws like first law, second law, third law, all these laws are applicable in initial frames of reference. Because in initial frame of reference, when you apply some force, real force on them, then only we can observe. Okay, that's why in initial frame of reference, as real forces acts on a body, we can apply the Newton's laws in initial frame of reference. So the initial frame of reference can also be defined in another way as the frame of reference in which Newton's laws can be applied is called the initial frame of reference. So the initial frame of reference in which Newton's laws are applicable. Here, Newton's laws are applicable. So the frame of reference in which Newton's laws are applicable, that is called inertial frame of reference. Here, this inertial frame of reference is moving with constant velocity with respect to earth. Whenever it is moving with constant velocity, it has no acceleration. No? That's why it is called unaccelerated frame of reference also. So inertial frame of reference or unaccelerated frame of reference. Here, this inertial frame of reference either at rest or moving with uniform velocity or constant velocity with respect to earth. So every frame of reference which is moving with uniform velocity or constant velocity with respect to earth can be treated as the inertial frame of reference. So earth, railway platform, bus stand, tree, in this way building, all these are inertial frames of reference. Okay, next, second one, non-inertial frame of reference. Second one, non-inertial frames of reference. Non-inertial frame of reference. Non-inertial frame of reference. Here, non-inertial frame of reference, NIFOR, non-inertial frame of reference, or it is also called as the accelerated frame of reference. Accelerated frame of reference. Okay, so non-inertial frame of reference or accelerated frame of reference. Non-inertial frame of reference means every frame of reference which can travel with certain acceleration with respect to inertial frame of reference. That is called the non-inertial frame of reference. In this non-inertial frame of reference, directly we cannot apply the Newton's laws directly to the bodies. So from non-inertial frame of reference, we cannot apply the Newton's laws to the bodies. Some modifications are there. Okay, that's why the frame of reference in which Newton's laws cannot be applied. I will explain later. I will explain with examples so that you can understand easily. The frame of reference in which Newton's laws cannot be applied, that is called the non-inertial frame of reference. So here in this frame of reference, Newton's laws are not applicable. Newton's laws are not applicable. Such frame of reference is called the non-inertial frame of reference. Okay, here every frame of reference moving with certain acceleration with respect to earth or with respect to inertial frame of reference, that can be treated as the non-inertial frame of reference. Anybody can say example for non-inertial frame of reference? Non-inertial frame of reference. You respond in chat box immediately within no time. Any frame of can you say example for non-inertial frame of reference? Not sun, moving car. Moving car means you have to say perfectly. Every vehicle moving with certain acceleration, that can be treated as the non-inertial frame. If the vehicle or bus travel with a constant velocity with respect to earth, that is the inertial frame only. That's why, suppose if you take the merry-go-round in exhibitions, small kids makes rotations by sitting on the chairs of the merry-go-round now. In case of merry-go-round, even it rotates with constant speed or constant angular speed, then every person in that merry-go-round can experience the centrifugal force. Because of that, the merry-go-round try to push our body away from us. Suppose I will say one example. On the merry-go-round, just seats are there. On the seat, suppose if you sit, whenever the merry-go-round start rotation with constant speed, you don't say that is accelerated. So with constant speed, it is making rotations. Then without held any supports, whenever the angular speed gradually increases, can you sit there only, or you feel that you are throwing outwards? Yeah, giant wheel, we can take example. You feel that you are throwing outwards, no? That means that force can be expressed. But from outside, when you stand on the earth and if you see the person who is making rotations on the merry-go-round, we can say that nobody pushes him. But whenever he makes rotations in the merry-go-round, that person experiences that he is pushing out. He is throwing outwards. But from outside, by standing on the earth, when the same person can be seen, when the person who is making rotations is seen, then no force acts on them. So that's why such force can be experienced. That force is called the pseudo force. Such force is called the pseudo force. In case of any body, whenever it is moving, it is making rotations with certain angular velocity, every person experiences centrifugal force. Every person experiences centrifugal force. Due to that centrifugal force, he seems to be thrown outwards. That can be experienced only because when we stand outside the merry-go-round and when you stand on the earth, we cannot see that pseudo force or centrifugal force. That can be experienced only. That's why here such type of body having a merry-go-round. That means the body which is making rotations or a body travel with certain acceleration. All these bodies can be treated as the non-inertial frame of reference. One more example, let me explain. Here, suppose on the bus, we are traveling from Vijayawada to Hyderabad or something, Bengaluru, somewhere else. We are traveling. Okay, we are traveling from Vijayawada to Hyderabad on the bus. Just we keep our belongings like suitcase, say, just beside our chair. It is not kept in the rack there. Just it is kept behind, just beside our chair, without fixed to the any chair or not. It is not fixed to any chair. It is just kept on the floor of the bus. Here, whenever the bus travels with certain acceleration, now and then we see that the suitcase moved back. No, the suitcase moved back. No, nobody pulls the suitcase in backward direction. But whenever the vehicle travel in forward direction, because of inertia property, the suitcase experiences some force opposite to the motion of the bus. That is called pseudo force. That is called pseudo force. Okay, that can be experienced but cannot be seen. From the surface of the earth, when you see the suitcase, nobody applying force. But when you sit in the bus, you too experience the same force. That's why that pseudo force can be experienced only in the in the frame of reference which is travel with some acceleration. Such type of frames of references are called the non-inertial frame of reference. So in this non-inertial frame of reference, the body experiences the extra force. They are called pseudo forces. Okay, so here Newton's laws cannot be applied here. Example, merry-go-round. Merry-go-round. Next, and every object, or object means bus, car, whatever it may be, every object rotating with certain acceleration, every object moving with certain acceleration, because that may be travel along the straight line also. Even the body travel along the circular path, definitely it is having centrifugal force, experiences centrifugal force, centripetal force, etc. So every object travel with certain acceleration, travel with certain acceleration. Okay, these are the examples for non-inertial frame of reference. In this, Newton's laws cannot be applied directly, because Newton's laws can be applied for real forces. But here in merry-go-round, nobody pushes him, nobody pushes us. Okay, that's why from the surface of the earth, when you see the person who is rotating, that person says that no force acts on that person. Why he pushed away? In such a way he feels. But that pseudo force or centrifugal force can be experienced by the person who is sitting in the merry-go-round. That's why merry-go-round is the best example for non-inertial frame of reference. Not only merry-go-round, every body rotating with certain acceleration, that can be treated as the non-inertial frame of reference. In every frame of reference which is moving with certain acceleration, if you keep any body, that body experiences that pseudo force. Here centrifugal force is also called as the pseudo force. So pseudo force is there. Okay, pseudo force. About pseudo force, I will explain in detail in next chapter. Newton's laws of motion is there. In such Newton's laws of motion, we purely discuss the different types of forces. At that time, I will explain with the different examples also. Okay, right? In this way, there are two types of reference frames: inertial frame of reference and a non-inertial frame of reference. Without comparing the position of your body with respect to any one of these two, we cannot say you are at rest or you are in motion. With respect to walls of the room or with respect to earth, as there is no change in the position of your body, you are said to be at rest in the chair. Without comparison, we cannot say. Suppose without comparing your position with respect to any other, if you could say whether the body is at rest or in motion, that is called absolute rest and absolute motion. So we cannot say absolute rest and absolute motion. Okay, here in this way we discussed so far two types of reference bodies, frames: inertial frame of reference and non-inertial frame of reference. These are the two frames of reference. Now, in case of inertial frame of reference, that means from the surface of the earth, when you observe the motion of the different bodies, how they travel, are they travel with constant velocity or uniform acceleration, how they travel, what is the displacement, everything will be discussed in this chapter. Okay. You stop unnecessary chatting. When class is here, you have to listen the class only. You stop unnecessary chatting. When I ask you to respond in chat box, then only you respond. You personally don't respond in the chat box. If you do like that, I will delete this chat box also. I will stop the chat box also. Okay. When I ask you to respond in chat box, then only you respond. Or if you are having any doubt related to the topic, then you can respond voluntarily. You don't interact with others for private discussions. Okay. Now we have to discuss the distance and the displacement. Distance and displacement. Already in vectors, distance and displacement I explained. Once again, just to revise, distance and displacement. Distance and displacement. Okay. Suppose one body has to travel from A to B. Already I said the same example. One body has to travel from A to B. From A to B, they can travel along the straight line path or along the curved path like this, or along the curved path like this. Okay, in different paths the body can travel. These are the different paths. The body can travel along the first path, along a straight line from A to B, along the second path or third path. Suppose if the body travel along a straight line from A to B, along the straight line like this, then what is the distance in this case? Or when the body travel along the second path, what is the distance? The total length of the path covered by the body is called distance traveled by the body. That means suppose when the body travel along the second path, you measure the length of entire path up to this, then that gives the distance traveled by the body. Similarly, here also it gives the distance traveled by the body when the body travel along the third path. If the body travel along the first path, the distance traveled by the body means the length of the straight line between A and B. That is the shortest distance now. Such shortest distance between 2 points is called the displacement of a body. The shortest distance between 2 points is called displacement of a body. That's why this length is equal to displacement, and this total length of this path or this path, that is called the distance traveled. So distance means path length is called path. The total length of the path covered by the body, that is called the distance traveled by the body. Okay, total length of the path, total length of the path covered, total length of the path covered is called distance traveled by the body. Okay, shortest distance between 2 points, shortest distance between 2 points is called displacement of a body. Displacement of a body. So the shortest distance between the 2 points is called displacement of a body, and the total length of the path covered by the body is called the distance traveled by the body. From this, it is clear that when the body travel along the straight line, in such case, distance travel is total length of the path, and the displacement also same only, no? That's why when the body travel along the straight line, the distance travel and displacement both are same. When the body travel along the curved path, either second path or third path, whatever it may be, the distance travel is equal to total length of this path. But always, even the body travel along this curved path, displacement is from A to B along the straight line only. That means in this case, whenever the body travel along the second path, the distance travel here is more than the displacement of the body. Whenever the body travel along the second path, the body travel from A to B only, even along the second path or first path. Okay, but here the total length of the path covered by the body when it travel along the second path, that is the distance travel. But what is the displacement of a body when it travels from along the second path? Means initial point of the second path is this one, final point is this one. The shortest distance between these 2 points means again that is the displacement only, no? That's why whenever the body travel along the curved path, the distance travel will be more than the displacement of a body. If the body travel along the straight line, then distance displacement both are same. So from these examples, we observe that the displacement may be equal to distance, but never be greater than distance traveled. When the body travel along this path, displacement is this only, but distance travel is here. So displacement less than distance travel. When the body travel along the straight line, the distance and displacement both are same, because along the straight line means total length of the path is this only, shortest distance between A and B is also this only. That's why the displacement of a body may be equal to distance or maybe less than distance traveled by a body. That is very, very important. So displacement of a body is less than or equal to distance traveled by the body. This is very, very important. Distance traveled by the body. Of course, distance is a scalar quantity. Already we discussed it. I don't want to discuss now again. So distance is a scalar quantity. Okay. Displacement is a vector quantity. Displacement vector quantity. Sometimes while doing the problems, they mention the distance displacement like that. That means whenever the body travel along the straight line, displacement distance both are same. Okay. Now, in different cases, we have to discuss the speed of the body. What about the speed? Speed V. Speed V means that suppose in a time t seconds, the distance traveled by the body is say yes. In a time t seconds, the distance traveled by the body is say yes. Then the distance traveled by the body in a second. The distance traveled by the body in a second. That is called the speed of a body. Therefore, speed V is equal to distance by time. What is the SI unit? SI unit of speed is equal to, formula is this one. So SI unit of distance travel is meter, time in second, meter per second. So meter per second is the SI unit of the speed. In the speed formula, S is the distance, it is a scalar quantity, time is always a scalar quantity. That's why these two are scalar quantities. Scalar by scalar gives one more scalar. That's why speed is a scalar quantity. Okay, speed is a scalar quantity. Next, suppose sometimes the body may travel, here we say, sometimes the body may travel through a distance S1 in a time T1 and S2 in a time T2. Then what is here the body travel from A to B, so that it travel a distance S1 in a time T1 and the remaining distance S2 in a time T2. In this case, what is the speed of the body means, here definitely as the body travel through a distance S1 in a time T2 and S2 in a time T2, S1 in a time T1. In this case, total distance traveled is how much? S1 plus S2. By total time is how much? T1 plus T2. Then this gives the average speed of the body. Average speed of the body. V average. That can also be represented as symbol V average. That is equal to S1 plus S2 by T1 plus T2. That means this is equal to total distance traveled by total time. Total distance by total time. This is the average speed of the body. Based on this concept, they are previously in mains they asked the question. Okay, average speed of the body. Okay, now we have to discuss some examples for average speed. Here, one example. A body travel first half of, suppose the total distance AB is equal to say S. The distance AB is equal to S. Okay, first half of the distance with a speed V1 and the next half of the distance with a speed V2. First half of the distance with a speed V1 and the next half of the distance with a speed V2 from A to B. Then what is the, no doubt we can say that the body does not travel with the constant speed throughout the motion from A to B, because first half of the distance it travel a distance V1 and the next half with a distance V2. That's why it will not travel with the same speed. One more example I want to say, when we go from Vijayawada to Hyderabad, throughout the motion, can we travel with the constant speed? Throughout the journey from Vijayawada to Hyderabad, can we travel with the same speed? No. Whenever speed breakers occurs, whenever mobile speed breakers are there, then definitely we'll stop the vehicle and again we accelerate the vehicle. That means throughout the motion from Vijayawada to Hyderabad, we cannot travel with the constant speed. But even then, to our relatives, we say that I reached within 5 hours or 4.5 hours, like that we say. I have almost all, I came to Hyderabad from Vijayawada about with a speed about 80 kilometers per hour or 90 kilometers per hour, like that. Throughout the motion, are you travel with the 80 kilometers per hour speed? No. On our Indian roads, the maximum safe speed is 80 kilometers per hour. Whenever the road is very clear and widened, express highways. On express highways, according to rules and regulations, okay, we can travel. The maximum safe speed is 80 kilometers per hour. Even the vehicle can travel with more speed. We should not go. We should not go with more speed. Our Indian road standards, we can travel maximum speed of 80 kilometers per hour. In village, we have to go with a speed just 30 kilometers per hour, 40 kilometers per hour. That is maximum. We should not go more than that speed. Okay. Here, when vehicle has to travel from A to B, first half of the distance with a speed s by 2, next half with a speed v1, and the next half with a speed v2. Throughout the motion, this vehicle cannot travel with the same speed. In this case, this average speed come into act. In this case, we have to say the average speed. So when you go from Vijayawada to Hyderabad within 4.5 hours, when you reach, then we can say I came Hyderabad with a speed of about 80 kilometers per hour. But throughout motion, we did not go with that. There is no possibility to go with that speed. But we say 80 kilometers per hour. That is the average speed. How we can estimate the average speed? So in this case, average speed means general formula is same. Average speed is equal to general formula is total distance by total time only. But there are two parts. This distance plus this distance. That's why two parts. So in first case, in first part, the distance travel is s1. In second part, s2. By time taken to travel, this first part is equal to t1 and second part is equal to t2. This is the formula. First you write. Here, first half of the distance means s1 is equal to s by 2. Next half of the distance means s by 2. By time, first half of the distance, it travel with a speed v1 means v1 is equal to distance s by 2 by time t1. Then t1 is equal to how we can write? Since speed is equal to s by t, no? From this t is equal to s by v, we can write, no? So what is the time taken by the vehicle to travel through a distance equal to first half of the distance s2 with a speed v1? What is the time taken? From this t1 can be written as s means s by 2 by speed v1 plus t2 can be written as from this distance travel s by 2 by speed v2. Okay, now here s by 2 means s by, here s by 2 you take common, then 1 by v1 plus 1 by v2. Here ss cancel, 2 goes to numerator, and when you take LCM, v2 plus v1 by v1 v2. So v2 plus v1 by 2 v1 v2. This 2 v1 v2 go to numerator. Therefore, average speed is equal to 2 v1 v2 by v2 plus v1 or v1 plus v2. So average speed is equal to 2 v1 v2 by v1 plus v2. If the body travel along a straight line, then this becomes average speed or average velocity also. Because when the body travel along the straight line path, then distance travel, displacement, both are same. That's why average speed, average velocity, both are same. Okay, this is the formula. Whenever the body travel with a speed v1 for first half of the distance and the next half of the distance with a speed constant speed v2, then what is the average speed means 2 v1 v2 by v1 plus v2. This also asked in previous mains. So this concept is also important. Okay, next, in another case, one more example. Example 2. Here, when a body travel first half of the time, because total time for which the body can travel to reach B from A is t. In this first half of the time, the body travel with a speed v1. Second half of the time, the body travel with a speed v2 and finally reaches the destination. Finally reaches the point B from A. Okay, in this case, okay, very good. In this case, average speed is how much? Average speed is equal to, okay, Daksha, he wrote the formula also, very good. Daksha, right? Here average speed is called. General formula is this only. Total distance traveled by total time. There are two cases. First half of the time, next half of the time. That's why in first half of the time, distance travel is S1. In second half of the time, distance travel is S2. By total time, T1, first half, first part, time T1. In the second part, total time taken is T2. Now this is equal to, here, in first part, what is the distance travel in a time T by 2 is not given, but speed is given. So in order to find the distance, since V is equal to S by T or S is equal to V into T, no, that means speed into time taken gives the distance traveled. That's why S1 is equal to, in first part, speed is V1 into time taken is T by 2. In this time T by 2. Plus in second part, speed is V2 into T by 2. This is the distance traveled in the second part. Okay. By total time taken, T by 2, in first part, time is T by 2, second part, T by 2. Okay, therefore, you take T by 2 common. When you take T by 2 common, V1 plus V2 by T by 2 plus T by 2 means T cancel. Therefore, average speed in this case is equal to V1 plus V2 by 2. So when the body travel, first half of the time with a speed V1 and the next half of the time with a speed V2. What is the average speed means V1 plus V2 by 2. When the body travel first half of the distance with a speed V1 and the next half of the distance with a speed V2. What is the average speed means 2 V1 V2 by V1 plus V2. Okay. Next, one more example. Suppose one more example 3. Suppose a body travel first 1/3 of distance with a speed V1, next 1/3 of distance with a speed V2, and last 1/3 of distance with a speed V3. So what is the total distance traveled from A to B means S by 3 plus S by 3 plus S by 3. That is the total distance traveled. But in which first half of the distance with a speed V1, next half of, first 1/3 of distance with a speed V1, next 1/3 of the distance with a speed V2, and the last 1/3 of the distance with a speed V3. In this case, what is the average speed? So in this case, average speed is equal to, as there are three cases or three parts are there. That's why total distance travel in the three parts means first part distance travel S1, second part S2, third part S3 by total time. The time taken by the body to travel through S by 3 distance with a speed V1 is T1. In next case, in second part, time taken is T2. For third part, T3. This is the formula for general formula for average speed. Now we have to substitute the data. So from this, V average is equal to S1. First part distance travel is S by 3. Second part also S by 3. Third part also S by 3. Okay, by time taken. In first part, to travel this much distance with a speed V1, what is the time taken? Time taken is equal to, already from this formula, time taken is equal to distance by speed, no? That's why in first part, time taken is equal to T1 is equal to, T1 means distance travel S by 3 by speed V1. Plus in second part, time taken is equal to travel this much distance with a speed V2, time taken T2 is equal to distance travel S by 3 by V2. In third part, S by 3 by V3. Okay, this is equal to S by 3 plus S by 3 plus S by 3 means S, because 3 into S by 3, 3 cancel S. By here, in all terms in the denominator, you take S by 3 common of 1 by V1 plus 1 by V2 plus 1 by V3. Okay, SS cancel. Okay, then when you take LCM, then 1 by 3 into, when you take LCM is V1, V2, V3. Okay, next, as V1 is there, we have to write V2, V3. Plus, as V2 is there, we have to write V1, V3. As V3 is there, we have to write V1, V2. Okay, then you write 3 into V1, V2, V3 in the numerator and remaining in the denominator. Therefore, average speed is equal to 3 V1, V2, V3 by, we write V1, V2. In order, you write V1, V2 plus V2, V3 plus V3, V1. So this is the formula for average speed when the body travel first 1/3 of distance with a speed V1, next 1/3 of distance with a speed V2, and last 1/3 of distance with a speed V3. The average speed is equal to 3 V1, V2, V3 by V1 plus V2 plus V3. Okay. Next, one more example I want to say. It was asked previously. This problem is also asked. Same formula they asked. Of course, V1, V2, V3 values may be given. Next, fourth one. One body has to travel from A to B. One body has to travel from A to B. Here, first half of the distance. Here, the body travel first half of the distance with a speed V1. Listen carefully. A body travel first half of the distance with a speed V1. The remaining half of the distance, it travel with a, suppose the remaining half of the distance, it travel in the remaining half of the distance. Suppose the time taken is say time taken for the next half of the distance is say T2. Okay, in which half of the time, T by 2 time, T2 by 2. Here, in second half of the distance, for half of the time, that means T2 by 2, it travel with a speed V2, and remaining half of the time, it travel with a speed V3. That means you listen carefully. Here, when the body travel from A to B, it travel first half of the distance with a constant speed V1, and in the next half of the distance, for half of the time, it travel with a speed V2, and remaining half of the time, it travel with a speed V3. In this case, what is the average speed? Okay, here you see, this is the point say C. Then, from A to C, no doubt, distance travel is given, speed is given. So, time taken, we know in this case. Okay, next in this case, here you see, when the body travel, already you know, previously we found, when the body travel half of the time, actually time taken by the body to travel from this point to this point is say T. Then first half of the time with a speed V2, second half of the time with a speed V3. Then what is the average speed from this from C to B motion? Here in the second part, total time taken by the body to travel in the second part to travel from C to B is T or T2. Okay, in which half of the time it travel with a speed V2 and the next half of the time it travel with a speed V3. Then in this case, what is the average speed for the motion from C to B? From C to B, what is the average speed? Already just previously, already you have derived, no? When the body travel first half of the time with a speed V1, next half of the time with a speed V2. Average speed is equal to V1 plus V2 by 2, we got, you see? V1 plus V2 by 2, we got. Okay, that's why here, in second part, to travel half of the remaining time with a speed V2 and remaining remaining half of the time with a speed V3, then average speed in this case is equal to V2 plus V3 by 2 in the remaining time. Here the distance traveled with this average speed is equal to S by 2 only, no? S by 2. Now average speed during entire motion is equal to, here this is the first half of the distance, it is the second half of the distance. In general, S1 plus S2 by time taken by the body to travel first half of the distance is T1, second half of the distance is already we have written T2. Okay, time taken is T2. So now we substitute the data. S1 means S by 2, S2 means S by 2 by T1. T1 means distance by speed, no? Time T is equal to distance by speed, no? Since speed V is equal to distance by time, time is equal to distance by speed, no? That's why here time means, in first case, in first part, time taken is equal to distance traveled S by 2 by speed V1 plus, in the second part, time taken T2 is equal to distance traveled S by 2 by, in second part, average speed V2 plus V3 by 2. You write, that is enough. In this way you have to write, so that you will get simple answer. Simply you will get the answer. So here S by 2 plus S by 2 means S. In this formula, you take S by 2 common, then 1 by V1 plus 2 goes to numerator, no, here 2 upon V1 plus V3 upon 2. So 2 by V2 plus V3. V2 plus V3 upon 2. Okay, that means 2 by V2 plus V3 you will get, as S by 2 is taken common. Again here SS cancel, this 2 goes to numerator. So 2 by, you take LCM, V1, V2 plus V3 plus 2 into V1 by V1 into V2 plus V3 you will get when you take LCM. Okay, now you write the denominator terms to the numerator, then you'll get answer. Therefore, in this case, average speed is equal to 2 into this V1 into V2 plus V3 goes to numerator. So V1 into V2 plus V3 whole by this part you write 2V1 plus V2 plus V3 you write. So this is the formula for average speed. In this way, we can find the average speed of the body. I think you could understand how we can find the average speed with these examples. Definitely next year week paper, definitely based on these concepts, you'll be having a problem. Of course, they don't give directly based on these formulas. Based on this knowledge, we'll be in a position to do the problem. Okay, that's why. So this is very, very important. When the body travel along the straight line, all these average speeds are becomes average velocities also. Okay, next heading, average velocity. Average velocity. Average. We have discussed average speed now. Then average velocity. Same symbol is same, of course. Average velocity. Average velocity is equal to total displacement by total time. Total displacement by total time. Formula is same. Total displacement S by total time t or delta S by delta t. Formula is same. Okay, but here if you are given displacement, then that is called average velocity. So average velocity is the total displacement of a body per second. That is called average velocity of a body. When the body travel along the straight line, average speed, average velocity both are same. Okay. Next, instantaneous velocity. Instantaneous velocity. V instant. Instantaneous velocity. Actually, what is the formula for average velocity? Average velocity is equal to total displacement of a body by total time taken. Total displacement of a body by total time taken is the average velocity. Total displacement by total time is the average velocity of a body. What is the instantaneous velocity? That means velocity of a body at a small interval of time or at certain instant of time. That is called average velocity. Suppose when the cricket ball is thrown by the bowler, at the instant whenever he leaves the ball from his hand, the velocity at that instant when he leaves the ball, that velocity is called instantaneous velocity. Of course, for fast bowlers, the instantaneous speed of the ball is very much more. Instantaneous speed of the ball is very much more like Akhtar, etc. Okay, here instantaneous velocity means in a very small interval of time. You see, at the instant whenever the ball released from our hand, when the ball is released, it takes more time to leave the ball? No. That's why in a very small interval of time, whatever the velocity of a body, that is called instantaneous velocity of a body. Or the velocity of a body at any instant of time, that is called instantaneous velocity of a body. So velocity at any instant. Velocity at any instant of a body. Instant is called instantaneous velocity of a body. Here, in case of instantaneous velocity of a body, velocity at any instant of time is called instantaneous velocity. Instant of time means the time is very, 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 very small, infinitesimally small. That's why in such case, delta t is very, very small. That's why you apply the condition. While you write the instantaneous velocity, this time interval is very small. That's why you write limit delta t tends to 0, delta s by delta t. This can also be written as simply ds by dt. Already you know, in this formula, whenever delta t tends to 0, this can be written as ds by dt also. So this is the formula for instantaneous velocity of a body. Instantaneous velocity of a body. Okay. Next. Next, here one example I want to discuss. The displacement of a body varies with time. Displacement of a body varies with time according to equation S is equal to some A into T square. The displacement of a body varies with time according to the equation S is equal to AT square. Okay, then of course it is say this A is equal to say 3T square. 3T square. The displacement of a body varies with time according to the equation S is equal to 3T square. Then instantaneous velocity at an instant of time t is equal to 3 seconds is dash. What is the instantaneous velocity at a time t is equal to 3 seconds? That is equal to question mark. Here first of all we are given the displacement of a body varies with time according to this equation. Okay, what is the displacement of a body in a time 3 seconds means we can substitute directly instead of t you substitute 3, then you get displacement of a body in 3 seconds. Okay, but here they ask the instantaneous velocity. That's why instantaneous velocity v instant is equal to ds by dt. No, ds by dt means that is the differentiation of displacement with respect to time. Already we know differentiation of displacement with respect to time. This is equal to d by dt of s means 3t square. Tell me what is the differentiation of 3t square? 3 is constant, you write outside. Okay, into d by dt of t square. This is equal to 3 into what is the differentiation of t square with respect to time? Power is 2. That's why 2 into t to power must be less by 1. 2 minus 1. That's all. It is t, it is t. That's why even you write dt by dt, it cancels. D by dt of t also we have tried. The both will be cancelled. That's why this is only answer. So this is equal to 6t. This is the instantaneous velocity at any instant of time t. Okay, therefore they asked what is the instantaneous velocity at a time t is equal to 3 seconds. Therefore instantaneous velocity at a time t is equal to 3 seconds is equal to 6 into t means 3 seconds, that is equal to 18. Here of course displacement of the body is given in meters, say, then you will get meter per second. So this is the instantaneous velocity at a time t is equal to 3 seconds. Here how we can draw the displacement time graph and velocity time graph. From this how we can draw the graph? You see here displacement time graph we have to draw. Displacement versus time graph. Displacement versus time graph. So what is the nature of the graph? You tell me. What is the nature of the graph you will get? What is the nature of the graph you will get? Displacement time graph. What is the nature of the graph? Displacement time relation is s is equal to 3t square. It is given. So what is the nature of the displacement time graph? Very good. Because this, in order to draw the displacement time graph, there are two variables in the equation, s and t. Okay, in which one variable is having square. Definitely it is a parabola, no? And in which direction parabola is open? In which direction parabola is open? As square is for t, definitely parabola must be open towards the displacement axis. Parabola must be open towards the displacement axis. Okay, here suppose it is the time, generally time is taken along x-axis and displacement along y-axis, and it is origin. At t is equal to 0, s is also equal to 0, no? That's why definitely that point lies here. At t is equal to 0, displacement s is also equal to 0 from this formula. That's why the parabola must be passed through the origin. And in which direction it is open? As square is for t, definitely displacement must be open towards positive. Quotient of t square is positive. Okay, that's why the parabola must be open towards positive displacement axis. Means like this. Can we draw the graph like this also? Because it is no doubt symmetrical parabola. Can we get symmetrical parabola for this relation? Yes, very good. time has no negative value. Time has no negative value. That's why we cannot take the -1, -2 like that. We cannot take. That's why only you will get the graph like this only. Okay, now here already we calculated instantaneous velocity at t is equal to 3 seconds now. So at 3 seconds means suppose this is 1 second, 2 second, 3 second like that. 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Exactly at 3 seconds, what is the velocity they ask to know? Exactly at t is equal to 3 seconds, you draw the vertical line so that it intersects the graph. Exactly at t is equal to 3 seconds, what is the velocity of your body? That is called instantaneous velocity. To find the instantaneous velocity at this point in the graph, you at this point you draw a tangent. When you draw the tangent at this point, here this is the tangent drawn at that point. So angle made by this tangent with the x-axis, that is say theta. Okay, now here you draw a vertical line and it is horizontal line. This time is equal to dt, this time is equal to dr. Okay, here this time interval is equal to delta t, this time displacement is equal to delta s from this point to this point. Therefore, instantaneous velocity at this point v instant is equal to time interval must be very small now. That's why that can be written as ds by dt. From this diagram, it is equal to tan theta, because exactly at this point, as we drawn the tangent, then slope of the tangent at this point gives the velocity of your body at this point. That's why it is equal to velocity. Slope means theta. Tan theta is equal to, this is also equal to delta s by delta t. That is equal to instantaneous velocity. What is the value you got? Exactly at t is equal to 3 seconds. What is the value we got? Instantaneous velocity is equal to 18 meter per second now. So that's why at this point, what is the velocity means 18 meter per second. Next, at t is equal to 3 seconds, what is the displacement of your body? You put at t is equal to 3 seconds, displacement s is equal to, general formula is 3t square. That is equal to 3 into t square means 3 into 3 square. So that is equal to s is equal to 27 meter now. So exactly at t is equal to 3 seconds, what is the displacement of your body means this is equal to 27 meter in the graph. It is the displacement time graph. In this way we can draw. From this graph, as long as time increases, whatever the velocity, from this graph, as long as time increases, whatever the velocity of your body. So here you see, exactly this graph must be like this. Initially, it is parallel to time axis. Initially, this graph must be parallel to time axis, because at t is equal to 0, what is the velocity? At t is equal to 0, velocity is 0. That means at t is equal to 0, the slope of the graph must be 0. That's why you will get the graph like this. Like this. Okay, at t is equal to 0, when you draw the tangent, it is parallel to time axis. That means slope is 0. That means at t is equal to 0, as slope of the displacement time graph is 0, velocity is 0. You see, at t is equal to 0, at t is equal to 0, velocity is 0 only, no? So in this way, you will get the graph. Okay, next, for the same displacement time equation, what is the acceleration time graph? For the same problem, what is the acceleration time graph? For the same problem, what is the acceleration time graph? Already we know velocity v is equal to v got. Velocity v is equal to 60 v got. Okay, velocity v is equal to 60 v got. Now velocity time, we have to velocity time graph we have to draw v and t. What is the relation between v and t? This is only the relation between v and t, no? It is constant. Here there are two variables v and t, in which two variables are having powers 1 1 each. That's why definitely you will get a straight line, no? So when you draw the graph between v and t, definitely you will get a straight line like this. What is the slope of this straight line? Slope of this straight line, slope tan theta is equal to, tell me what is the slope of this straight line? Slope of the straight line at any point means, suppose if you want to find the slope of the straight line at this point to this straight line you draw a tangent. Tangent is also along the same straight line only. From this point you draw a horizontal line. From this point you draw a vertical line. Of course, as it is a straight line, directly we can find. As it is a straight line, slope at any point remains the same. If it is theta, this is also theta only. That's why in this graph, tan theta is equal to, that means slope is equal to, tell me how we can write? Slope is equal to, already I said, in this case, slope is equal to ds by dt, because displacement time graph slope is equal to ds by dt. Here velocity time graph slope means dv by dt, no? Velocity time graph slope means dv by dt, no? So in case of velocity time graph, what is the slope of the velocity time graph? Slope of the velocity time graph, dv by dt, that is equal to how much? Tell me. Dv by dt is equal to 6 of d by dt of v means 60. 6 is constant, you keep aside. D by dt of t means 1, that's why 6. So this slope is equal to dv by dt means acceleration, no? That's why acceleration a is equal to 6. As the data is in SI system, you will get acceleration is equal to 6 meter per second square. This is the acceleration of the body. That means in case of velocity time graph, the slope means dv by dt, that is equal to 6 meter per second square. That's why at any point on this straight line, as it is a straight line, slope remains constant at every point. That's why this particle travel with uniform acceleration. So what is the acceleration of this body at a time t is equal to 2 seconds, they may ask. At 2 seconds, at 3 seconds, at 4 seconds, but at any time, this acceleration does not depend on time function. That's why acceleration remains constant at any time, even at the origin also, even at the t is equal to 0 also, acceleration is equal to 6 meter per second square only. In this way we have to do. Okay, so here this is the how we can draw the graph, how we can draw the velocity time graph for the same problem. And what is the area under the graph? Suppose this is the time. In time t is equal to 3 seconds. In time t is equal to 3 seconds. You see here, suppose this is say 3 seconds. Here it is 2, 1, 2, 0. Okay, at 3 seconds, what is the velocity of a body? Exactly at t is equal to 3 seconds, what is the velocity of a body? Exactly at t is equal to 3 seconds, velocity of a body is equal to 6 into 3, 18 meter per second, no? 18 meter per second. Okay, now what is the displacement of a body in t is equal to 3 seconds? From this graph, from the graph, how we can find the displacement of a body from VT graph? From VT graph, how we can find the displacement of a body? From the graph, displacement of a body from VT graph means area under VT graph gives displacement, no? In t is equal to 3 seconds, what is the displacement of a body means? From VT graph up to 3 seconds, what is the area under this velocity time graph means? Area of the shared part. Area is equal to displacement in t is equal to 3 seconds from graph is equal to how much? Okay, that is equal to, yes, area under this graph is equal to, yes, that is equal to, tell me, area under the graph means area of the triangle. Half base means this is 3, because at t is equal to 3 seconds they asked 3 into height equal to 18, that is equal to 27 meters, no? 27 meters, no? Already we know displacement time relation is there. In t is equal to 3 seconds, what is the displacement from this formula? T is equal to 3, you substitute 3 into 3 square, that means 27 only. We too got 27 only. That's why from the graph you obtain, or from the equation you will get the same form, same value. That's why in this way, from the graph also we can find the displacement of the graph in a time t is 3 seconds. Suppose they ask what is the displacement of a body in a time 2 seconds only, that means up to 2 seconds you find the area under the graph, that gives the displacement of a body in 2 seconds. Okay, in this way we can have the we can solve the problems, various problems. Okay, in next class I will continue. Okay, in next class I will continue. Okay, thank you all. I'm signing out. Today you don't have any assignment, etc. So today you finish whatever the doubts you are having in your advanced paper, you solve those problems. I think you are given solutions also. Are you given solutions? Are you given solutions for advance? Okay, so by going through the solutions, you do the problems in advance wherever you have committed mistake. Even then, if you are unable to get, I will explain. Okay, thank you all of you. I'm signing out.